Hey everybody, Prince's Friend here, and this is the third installment of my Why Prince Sucks series. And again, for the people who just clicked on this in fuming rage at me, I don't actually think he sucks, but what I've been doing is going through a bunch of different reasons as to why other people think he sucks, and kind of disproving those things. And obviously, if you're enjoying these kinds of amazing conversations that I enjoy having, and I'm hoping that you're enjoying having, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and then don't forget to hit that bell next to it, because it's super important for, YouTube algorithm. To keep things civil, when you're in polite conversation, you don't talk about sex, you don't talk about religion, and what's that third thing that you don't talk about? Yes, politics. So this episode is all about how Prince was often seen as too political. Now, how did he get this reputation? That's a really good question, because it honestly has been there for his entire career, but it didn't really come to be such a big deal until much later on in his life. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that in his early career, he didn't do a lot of interviews and he didn't really talk a lot. So really the only way that you got his political messages were through his songs. And, he had a lot of songs like Party Up, Anti-Christian, Ronnie Talk to Russia, Free. So a lot of songs, that's just a handful just in those early years there. Obviously his first two albums didn't have any political stuff because he was building his brand there. And then as soon as his brand was good, he was like, political stuff, there you go. He would put political messages in his songs. Even 1999, one of his most famous songs, it's a political song because it's all about the fear of the world ending due to nuclear attacks. I mean, that's what the whole song's about. So it's kind of funny that it's not ever thought of that way. It's like, everybody thinks it's just a fun dance song, but really it's about the end of the world and it's about politics. That is a political song. But as Prince got older and as he actually started to absorb more information and he started, thinking outside of, the regular thought process, some people would say that he became a little bit of a conspiracy theorist. I'm not exactly against that idea, but even within, politics, it gave a new point of view that I wasn't used to hearing. I was used to, hearing, the general things like government's good and all that stuff, and it was interesting to hear, different thoughts about, hey, maybe that thing right there isn't the best thing. So there was a lot of that. Prince also started, later in his career, identifying himself more as a black artist and using that as a political stance and making a lot of songs that were critical over how the black community had been treated, also how the government works and how, the government is failing, black communities and communities as a whole. Now, here's the thing, though. Prince was also very vocal about his not voting. So that was a big sticking point for a lot of people. And a lot of people, they do the whole thing where, if you don't vote, then you have no right to complain about things, which isn't necessarily true anyway. But the way that Prince viewed it, his vote didn't really matter to him. That's how he viewed his vote, and that's how he felt his vote was viewed by politicians. His vote didn't necessarily matter in the end. And if anybody knows about gerrymandering and, the caucuses and all kinds of dumb stuff that goes along with American politics, then, there is definitely an argument to be said that, an individual's vote doesn't matter. Now, one person voting and getting other people to vote and then, clustering together, yes, that does matter. But just a person's vote isn't necessarily that important, and that's kind of where Prince was, and that's why he didn't vote, but he was very critical over what the U.S. government, because, he did live here, he paid taxes, those things were still important to him, but he became a lot more outspoken later on in life, and he started to actually get flack for that, because again, people would start calling him conspiracy theorists and racists and all kinds of stuff, so it became kind of interesting. But Prince's politics were pretty simple. He was anti-war, he was anti-guns, and he was for helping children. And those were his basic politics that he has in a lot of his different songs. Money Don't Matter Tonight, Planet Earth, so many of these songs touch on all of these different things and kind of point out the political struggles that the common man is having, and of course Prince not really being the common man, but he was able to portray those ideas and those struggles really, really well. So I kind of want to like compare his very first political song and his very last political song. His very first political song on any album was Party Up. It was written by Morris Day, and Prince kind of co-opted it, but it became Prince's song. But Party Up was an anti-draft song. It's all about how, the kids just want to have fun and we don't want to be drafted into your dumb war. And it's a political stance that's easy to have as like, the 19, 20-year-old that he was. He was young. It was very possible that he could have been drafted at any time. But then as his career began advancing, his views changed, and not that he was for the draft, but like that part of war wasn't necessarily the important part anymore. It was the devastation that it was causing. And if we go all the way to Prince's last political song, which was Baltimore, it spoke very directly to the Black Lives Matter movement and the political atmosphere that we are having right now. Like, one is kind of like, war kind of sucks and don't draft me, and the other one is like a look at the individual pieces of communities and the police and violence and racism and all of those things kind of all together. And I think it's interesting that, when he got older, his views got more complex. And I like that a lot, because that's what should happen as you grow and you become wiser. But here's the thing. Prince would write a song here and there, but for the most part, even if he was on talk shows and whatnot, and he would say these things outwardly, people would just say, oh man, he's crazy. But what he did in the background, which was really cool, was that he would be donating millions and millions of dollars to these different causes to help children, to help Black Lives Matter, to help all these different organizations that he believed in. So he definitely was not just somebody saying something. He also put his money where his mouth is, and he would also go do concerts and, all of these things. One of the biggest things was when Most Beautiful Girl in the World came out, he released it under his own record label, and all of the profits went to like build a children's school in Minneapolis, and it was amazing. And like that was one of the only like few times that he did a lot of publicity about his charity work that he did, but he did a lot of charity work throughout the years, millions and millions of dollars that he would give, because he was he had so much money and he wasn't gonna keep it, but he also didn't go out and like brag about everything that he did. So his politics were very personal to him, and he would speak about them mostly just the Tavis Smiley. But why is this a lasting thing that people think of Prince as being too political? The answer to that, honestly, is that it actually wasn't a thing early in his career, but as it kind of went on, people started picking up like, he's talking too much about the record industry. He's talking too much about war. He's talking too much about, this, that, or the other thing. And people started kind of checking out. And a lot of people were like, we don't need you to preach to us. You're already singing about God, and now you're going to tell us that our politics are wrong too. And you're too sexy. Like, it's like, it was kind of like the third strike and you're out with the politics. Because I think if he had come out with just political songs, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But the layering of all of the different things that were Prince kind of culminated into people kind of walking away from it. And I don't actually think that he was too political. He would have one or two political songs on an album here and there. It was definitely not the thing that he focused on the most, but at the same time, these songs ended up being singles. These ones ended up being the ones that he would release videos for, perform on live shows, stuff like that. So even if it was only one or two songs here and there, they also took the forefront because he would use his platform in order to spread that message. So kudos to Prince. I always loved his political stuff, but a lot of people did think that Prince was too political. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments, and we'll talk some more. And don't forget to hit me up on social media and all of that jazz. Have a good one, and may you live to see the dawn. We're gonna do this infomercial style. You have your Prince reviews, you have your rock reviews, you have your lists, you have your Versus series, you have all the things that Prince's friend brings to you. And all you have to do is hit the subscribe button and the notification button. Do it now!